Welcome to the bold analysis. Different senators, or two senators, have spoken for the first time about the discourse of the Deputy President's impeachment. I want us to look at what these two senators are saying, because it's a very clear pointer as to what awaits that bill. And in this podcast, I know most of us have also been asking Kevin, what is the process? So make sure you watch to the end, because I'm also going to tell you what to expect from the National Assembly, and then what from the bill from the National Assembly to Senate, if it sails through. But someone need to answer me this question. Why is it that MPs who voted yes are now dispatching letters of withdrawals? Quite a number of them are withdrawing. I will one day look at that sometime later tomorrow. But in the meantime, you can tell me what you think about that. First, I want to say thank you.
Sorry, Becky. Nasema? Anatoa. Sasa lakini sasa ndio maana tunatumia pampers ana hiyo control ya nini, so hata kuambia yeah, that's she's on anti-convulsant drugs they are convulsions. So tani jana I was talking to the doctor, the head doctor ule ana head hiyo neurology ward. Niambia at least because now she's not having convulsions, she'll continue taking them for 2 years lakini wataanza unaenda kama na reduce because they are very sensitive. You can't take always wachisha kama Panadol ati unaacha siku moja, ukiacha zinarudi. So you monitor, alafu afterwards after 2 years of monitoring without convulsions, now they can take her off.
Lakini akatumia
lakini tena akipunguza. Already now they are working because she has not had a convulsions from December. Wakati nakwambia aligo unconscious ilikuwa mild, lakini tangu wakati huo hajakuwa na convulsions.
Hi guys, so thank you very much Team Bolt. We are in Kenyatta, so we have already handed over the 200,000 cash to Ronald. Ronald is here. Ronald is the father to Becky, and so Ronald will acknowledge and also tell us atatoa Becky lini, because now that part is the only one who knows. So karibu sana. And
thank you very much to yourself and the team. We really appreciate the support that has come through your efforts. And I'm Ronald Michael Kamau, that's my name, Becky, and we're hoping to get Becky home by Friday. God willing, now that we're able to sort 1-2 things, and we'll definitely inform you, and you come and do a follow-up. Yeah, you're welcome to our home to come and see the progress. You have seen her, the jovial girl, and once she goes home, she's then going to be happy. And we have you to thank and the support of so many other people who have come to us. Really appreciate.
So how much have you received?
I've received 200,000.
Yes, from the bold initiative. Maybe Michael, tell us something about Becky. Why Friday? You know, some people might ask.
Okay. Yeah. So the quite a bit of process. Yeah.
We managed to hand over a check of 200,000 to Baba Becky today in Kenyatta National Hospital. I visited, and of course the process of discharging the child has started. I'm just so grateful for your input. It was a very brave, we've done a very brave appeal, but we've achieved our target, and Michael has this to say. Thank you very much for coming through to support this family. For the few hours that I was spending with them, I've really loved something about Michael and the family, because he was telling me that having handled the child, he has learnt a lot about the power of being patient and the power of not giving up. That at some point they gave up, but the child kept on. They had the zeal and they had the power and they had the vision of just making sure that the child gets well. And baby Becky is where she is because of the system around her, the children, the siblings, and the parents. Yeah. So if you stay with the child with cerebral palsy, just know that it's just like the other children. Ni venye mtu anaweza kuwa mgonjwa. So I've really grasped a lot from that family. Thank you very much for all of us who supported that project.
As the member of NEC of ODM, on the Gachagua issue, I think this is a more Kenya Kwanza politics that we as ODM have no business engaging in. But I think that there is individual posture of every leader and every Kenyan to ask about the rationale for having a deputy president that is bedeviled by a number of things. Where I'm sitting today as Eddie Okech, I'm a member of the Senate of Kenya. And as a member of the Senate, we are going to receive the impeachment deliberations, because it's an initiation that must be done by National Assembly. The impeachment deliberations that are going to come to the Senate will come on the basis of allegations. And those allegations, the National Assembly will deliberate on them, and then it is the function of the Senate to be able to impeach. I believe that if they bring to us an impeachment that is founded on the basis of law and issues that are definitely of constitutional merit for an impeachment, the Senate will take charge and impeach. And if otherwise, the Senate will still be a good arbiter that will make sure that the impeachment is free and fair. But as things stand right now, as Eddie Okech, I haven't received anything or any communication from the National Assembly with regards to that impeachment. But when it comes, the people of Migori sent me as a very level-headed person, a very fair person, and a very just person. I will do what is just for the people of Kenya should that impeachment come in the Senate. But when you elect me as a senator, or you elect MP, or women rep, all those people become national leaders because they are engaged in national discourse in terms of the laws of the country. The only seat that is regional is governor and MCA. So if you feel like you are very good to want to be a regional leader or a tribal leader, you can as well be a tribal leader by going to become an MCA or a governor. That is just my opinion. I don't want us to focus on only the Rigathi impeachment without focusing on the substantial issues that the Gen Zs of this country raised. Because if those things are not achieved, there's nowhere Kenya is going. There's just calm, but there's no peace at any given time. It's a very important thing that you must understand. Whether you are elected in Kenya Kwanza, or whether you are elected in ODM or Wiper or the larger Azimio family, the Constitution under Article 94 all the way to 96 requires that the National Parliament must be able to oversight the executive. So what we must do as members of Parliament, both Senate and the National Assembly, is that we must constantly make sure that we hold the executive to account.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to listen to Eddie Okech. Eddie Okech, the Migori Member of Parliament, is a close confidant of Raila Odinga. And before word came out that Raila Odinga was vying to go to African Union, Eddie Okech was always around Raila Odinga. He He was interviewed today and he had this to say about that regarding impeachment. Yes, he says something about the evidence adduced in it. He's talking about the evidence, something that not so many people are really comfortable, not so many people really want to talk about. But he's talking about the fact that Senate needs to be fair. And the Senate need to answer the public. There is a public uproar that the impeachment is a smokescreen against the real thing. Why would we be having the impeachment at this time when government should be focused on sensitization for Kenyans to register on SHA from NHIF? And at the time, the country is handing over our national airport to Adani fellows from India. There have been a lot of questions about this. So what the public also feels is the regarding impeachment, it is not a bad thing, but it's not a priority for the country this time because the country have more pressing issues. So there's quite a lot of what Eddie has mentioned. Now, after that, I also listened to another soundbite from Okiya Omtata. Okiya Omtata was asked a range of issues, and this is how he addressed Rigathi Gachagwa's impeachment.
Right from the counties to the national government, we also want to start a hashtag and a proper campaign of Stop the Steal. We want to change from a war on corruption to a war on the corrupt. We want to deal with the corrupt people, smoke them out, and make sure that this country is governed as a republic under the rule of law. And those are the few remarks I would add on what my friends have said. I have nothing more to add, unless you have a question for me.
What about this SHA?
The SHA thing is arrant nonsense. You have seen the trouble it has caused, and we are going to fight it. We are going to make sure it is quashed, and we go back to NHIF. There is no reason why you can, no sensible person replaces a good thing with a bad thing. NHIF was working well. NHIF just needed liberating it from corrupt management by allowing competent people to take over, and we'll go on well. But they brought the SHA thing. But the SHA thing is basically, as what you have seen already, is a fraud scheme to steal money from the Kenyan taxpayers, from those who pay premiums. And we have said we are going to fight it, and we are going to resist it, and we are going to make sure that it does not succeed in that as part of the campaign which we are going to which we have dubbed, the campaign whose hashtag is Stop the Steal. We are going to stop the steal, and SHA is part of the steal, and we are going to stop it.
Lastly, can you touch a bit about this impeachment motion?
The impeachment motion, I think, is arrant nonsense, and I think that we'll wait to see what evidence is tabled, and then a personal will vote according to the evidence and the law. But as regards the issue of impeaching the Kenya Kwanza government, my position has always been that impeach Ruto and get Gachagua for free. The two people waende pamoja. Ndio wengine wanasema kufa dere, kufa makanga, si ndio? So we want to impeach Ruto and then we get nani for free. Gachagua of course comes as a package, as an addition to that. So the point of impeaching Gachagua and leaving Ruto to me makes no sense. When the Kwanza government can't govern, they should go. But it's a diversional tactic that is going to buy them some time by focusing the nation on the wrong issues. Thank you.
And what he's saying, impeach both. Impeach both Rigathi and President Ruto. So that is something that has really emerged and has stood tall on this matter of impeachment. So Okiya Omtata represents a clique of activists within the Senate that lobby for social justice. Okiya Omtata also speaks the language of Jimmy Wanjigi, speaks the language of opposition figures outside government. And Okiya Omtata also speaks the voice of reason. Will the voice of reason prevail in Senate? Or Rigathi Gachagua will really also get impeached in Senate? I want to look at that, but first I think let me just take some few minutes and explain to you this process. As our viewers, I know most of us sometimes are not getting, they don't know. So because we want you to know where are we so far. What is the process of removing the DP? These particulars are in Article 150 of the Constitution and Standing Order 65 of the 6th edition. According to those standing orders, the first step is collection of signatures, which should be a third of members. And according to us, a third of the whole house is 349. So a third of that is 116. And it is that they need 116. It is this that they got 291. Why were they pushing 291? They were pushing 291 because they wanted to communicate something to the president, to the deputy president, that I'm going to show you in this. Then, after getting the third in support of the motion, the mover seeks the approval of the Speaker, Moses Wetangula, and endorsement of the House Business Committee to issue notice and schedule it on order paper. This we have done. And this is what Wingi Mtuse was doing. From there, the process gets live and it's now in Parliament. From there, the process takes its course in Parliament. So there is MP to propose the removal on different grounds, but the grounds must be admissible. They should be explained and one that someone can understand and agree that it must be put in a form that is admissible, and the Constitution dictates what is really admissible. The impeachment process starts with the notice of motion, where a member delivers a copy of the proposed motion in writing to the clerk. The sponsor of the mover states the grounds and the particulars in it. The grounds specified as by the standing orders shall be admissible and framed clearly to particularize and disclose a gross violation of the Constitution. Okay. Then from there, a special motion of this nature shall be disposed by the Speaker in accordance with the standing orders within 3 days, a receipt of notice by a member, and assembly within 7 days of a member giving notice. If the assembly is not in session, the Speaker will have to call a special sitting. Now, upon the receipt of the motion by the clerk, any signature appended to the list shall not be withdrawn. For example, now, those signatures that were given, that had been signed, no one can withdraw his or her signature at this juncture. But when the motion has been passed by 2/3 of the House, which is 233 of all members of the Assembly, the Speaker shall inform the Speaker of the Senate of that resolution within 2 days. So if you look at this, the days that are needed for this, they have a leeway of rushing it. Now, this 233 is the reason why the movers of the motion wanted the number to surpass, because they wanted to communicate a signal to the deputy president that we can not only get 117, we can also get 233. And that is why they struggled to push the number to 291. So, of course, they will vote after debating on that, and even giving time to the deputy president if they deem so. In the Senate, the Speaker shall convene, and I want us to pay attention here because this is what is attached to really this analysis. The Senate Speaker shall convene a meeting of the Senate within 7 days to hear the charges against the Deputy President, and the Senate by resolution may appoint, they have two options. They may appoint a special committee comprising of 11 of its members to investigate the matter. The special committee appointed from the Constitution shall investigate and then report to the Senate within 10 days whether it finds the particulars of the allegations against the president or the deputy president have been substantiated. So remember during Mithika Linturi impeachment, it is this committee that Linturi bribed, and this committee managed to absolve him of all manner of the blames. Members of the special committee shall take oath or affirmation as may be prescribed by the Speaker, submitting that they will perform their duties honestly with due diligence. The special committee may hear representations from the member who moved the motion in the National Assembly and members of the National Assembly and other members. And if the special committee reports that the particulars of any allegation against the DP have not been substantiated, further proceedings shall not take place. In respect to that allegation or have been substantiated, the Senate shall, after according the DP an opportunity to be heard, the vote on the impeachment charges. Now, there is something about the committee from the Senate will hear from the National Assembly. When that bill gets to Senate, the impeachment will be National Assembly versus Rigathi Gachagua. Now, even in Senate, if you listen to the impeachment of the governors, it was the county assembly against the governor or the deputy governor. Now, it is the same here. When it gets to the Senate, it will be the National Assembly against the deputy president. I wish they can frame it, President Ruto against Rigathi. That is the best thing, because the person who is impeaching Rigathi is President Ruto. So when it gets to the Senate, it will be about that. The complainants will be the movers of the motion from the National Assembly, and probably the leadership of the House of the National Assembly will be present. The Senate shall vote on each impeachment charge of the motion. If at least 2/3 of all the senators vote to uphold any impeachment charge, the holder, the deputy president, shall lose his seat. The Senate or a special committee of the Senate shall conduct the investigations into the matter in accordance with the rules of the procedure prescribed under the second schedule of the standing orders. If at least 2/3 of all members of the Senate vote to uphold any impeachment charge, the DP shall. So it's not about all. They just did one. And even when you are crafting impeachment motion, this is normally about, and let me just go back to the National Assembly a bit. The National Assembly is just a house where numbers is the tool. You weaponize numbers. Now, this session of members reacting to this, it will just be the normal talking. Now, that is the difference between the Senate and the National Assembly. In the National Assembly, people will just be giving their opinions, and someone trying to convince, and pro-Rigathi MPs trying to convince anti-Rigathi MPs. But the ultimate wire is the numbers. But in the Senate, it's a trial chamber. So there, the lawyers, they will act like the judge. So the impeachment session in the Senate is more or less a court session. And there, the evidence should be the guiding principle. And that is why even at the special committee that will be formed, that special committee works like a court. It's like a court. And Senate is more experienced when dealing with impeachments, because they've been handling impeachments. The National Assembly have not been handling impeachments, and that's why they are behaving like some goats, just jumping right, left, right, and center. The Senate is more experienced on this. So when you look at the reaction of those members, I want to explain for you the stake that the Senate will have in this process. There are 5. The country is looking at conformity. Will the Senate conform to the patterns in the National Assembly? There's some very disgusting patterns. the National Assembly, where people go out, and a very good example is Sabina Chege, goes out and calls out proponents of impeachment and saying that they're not going to support it. But when it reaches to the hour, they sign to support to get the impeachment. And that is it. So conformity, or will the Senate try to be different? That is a question. We as a country, the countries will look into that. The second one is the neutrality that has lacked in the National Assembly. The National Assembly process is a big fraud. It's a big fraud because both the speakers, the two speakers, Wetangula and Gladys Shobos-Sholei, have all gone public, preempted the impeachment, and have said, have taken side. We are waiting for Senate to see if Senate is also going to lose its neutrality. In fact, the National Assembly has really misbehaved. I can tell you. They have really, really misbehaved. So we are looking at the neutrality. Are they going to be neutral? Are they going to be balanced? Are they going to be unbiased? The country is waiting for that. The other issue is there is Edwin Sifuna, Richard Onyonka axis in Senate. Now that axis, why have I singled out that axis? That axis believes that broad-based government between Ruto, the broad-based agreement between Ruto and Raila did not mean that we have a lean Senate. The two senators have been taking Kenya Kwanza head-on. Onyonka have gone live on TV and is saying the two gentlemen are fighting for the loot. Edwin Sifuna, who is also the Secretary General of the party, unlike if a departure from the others, unlike the others or his counterparts in the National Assembly, Edwin Sifuna has stood his ground and has been calling even the broad-based cabinet members like Mbadi that some things they are getting wrong. So we are looking into that axis. Where will be the stand of Onyonka and the Edwin Sifuna? I'm really anxiously waiting. If it passes the National Assembly, if they impeach Rigathi, I really want to see how the Senate would behave. The other issue is the perception of the president has mobilized the MPs. 291 mobilized, of course the president made calls. Barack Muluka said that the president have been making personal calls to these MPs to sign that document. Will the Senate also receive goodies from the National Assembly? Or will they not, although will they look at it differently? Lastly, Kenyans shall have reacted. So another perception, another understanding that is here is between the National Assembly and the Senate, who is also going to pay attention to what Wanjiku is saying about this impeachment. So let's wait and see. I don't know what you think about the Senate. And you've heard what Eddie is saying, Eddie Okeche is saying. You've also heard what Okiya Omtata is saying. So we can make constructive predictions on what exactly is going on. Thank you.